Welcome to Level 5 of the Stability and Mobility unit of your athletic development program. As I've always mentioned, stability and mobility coexist. So again, it's down to you guys to feel like which of stability or which of mobility do you need more. But we talk you through 3 exercises as per normal, 3 exercises of stability and 3 exercises of mobility. They may all suit you, they may not. Again, select what's best for you. So the first one is kind of a revisit of week 1 in this phase, and it's a single leg glute reach. Okay, so you have to be on single leg. The important point here is the setup. As I always say, setup denotes which muscles work more than others. So keep the foot on one leg, the foot straight. So any external or internal rotation of the bottom foot is going to change the biomechanics up the chain. Okay, so the first one is keep that leg hovering close to the foot, and then you're going to reach by bending the knee in front of you. So again, you're keeping relatively straight back. You're not rounding too much at the shoulders. You're reaching as far as you can. Now we're doing 6 repetitions of this, and each time Sandra is going to reach a little bit more forward. So she's reaching about 20 centimeters out from her body into 30, and then adding a little bit more on her reaches as she goes. Now that'll do is demand more activation and range of the glute, and that's why it's a glute range. So do your 6 repetitions, go as far as you possibly can, and then back, and just notice that the trail leg is hovering a little bit too far back. Keep it close to the leg that's working, if you like. 6 repetitions, and you'll do both sides, obviously left and right. The next exercise we'd like you to do is a hammy reach. So this is slightly different in terms of, again, just adjusting the biomechanics here, or the kinematics of the movement will change which muscles work. So we're keeping the leg straight, we're not bending the leg now, and it's the same motion again. And you'll feel automatically it looks very, very similar, but it's a very, very different series of muscles that actually activate, and a different firing sequence of these muscles also. So again, the hovering leg is close to the body. I'm going from a narrow reach, if you like, so when I say narrow, close to the foot, into further and further away from the foot. Again, this is going to challenge, yes, it's going to challenge some of your mobility, but more your stability. So how much range can you get in your mobility range, if that makes sense? So how good stability is to reach your end range, and that's what this challenge is here. Okay, and the next one is a single leg control flow, if you like. So it's just a complex name for a combined movement. So you're going to go on single leg, you're going to bring your knee up to 90 degrees, and then you're going to kick your leg out. So reach as far forward with your toe, and then reach as far forward with your toe on the floor by again bending the left leg. So it's important here that the hip is kicked forward. So I dot into a squat position, I'm reaching forward with my toe, and then I'm reversing the movement then to almost a reverse lunge, single leg squat, the knee to the floor, controlling it all the way, and then coming back up. That's 1 repetition. You can rest, or you can continue the flow of 6 repetitions if you like on one leg. Good, and then back, reach. A lot going on here, a lot of challenge to the ankle, an extreme challenge to the hip and glute to control that movement, and also you want as much range as you possibly can here on any stability exercise. So reaching as far forward as you can, touching, again, so see a little bit of a squat pattern here, a little bit of sit back. I don't want to see that. I want to see the hip kick forward when you do it. Yeah, that's better, that's a better reach. So the hip is now in extension. Too often we teach flexion throughout movement, so it's always in this little mini squat position. Want to get the hip to extend, that's important. You do 6 repetitions on your left, 6 repetitions on your right. So we'll just do one more, reaching as far forward as you can. Toe touch again, hip, perfect. That's it. So we're obviously on the other leg now, and again, control and reaching behind yourself and down. Okay, perfect, that's great. So 6 repetitions on each one, on each exercise, on each limb, if you're left and right, and 3 rounds of that before moving on to the mobility. Or you can do the mobility first if you feel like that's your priority, and then challenge the stability. Again, we really want it to be self-led. We want you to discover what works for your body, because in the long run, that's most important, that you understand and you give yourself feedback on what's the most appropriate. Okay, a mobility exercise then, it's called a bubble squat. And the reason why it's a bubble, imagine this imaginary bubble that we create with our feet and with our hands. So stand off with a neutral squat position. So you're going to squat as kind of low as you can on a squat. So again, building the mobility, reaching as far forward with your fingertips, reaching them then up over your head, so like at least to ear level, and then standing up, reaching that back as much as you can. So again, you can see you create a little bit of bubble with the feet. Now, the two variables to adjust here is one in the squat position, so when you get low and you're reaching out in front of you, so more range on the fingertips. So again, a bigger bubble, and then come up. Yeah, so over your head and then come up. So see the movement is down, touch, over your head, and then stand up. The other variable to manipulate in these 6 repetitions is the feet. So go wider now. Same thing again. So you'll squat down as low as you can, reach in front of you, reach your hands over your head as much as you can. Yep, you see it's a bit more of a challenge, and then come all the way up into extension. Perfect. And now you manipulate those variables to try and make as big bubble as you possibly can. Imagine that bubble is created when you touch, and then you reach over, covering the bubble, and then stand up with it. So you're trying to make as big an area as you possibly can on each repetition, and that's 6. Okay, the next bit then is a spinal matrix. Okay, so the spine is in a sport that requires us to have a good functioning spine, like hurling and football, is it often gets neglected and it gets misunderstood. So what we're going to challenge the body here to do is be good in the frontal plane, so forward and back, frontal plane, the left and right, so the sagittal plane forward and back, the frontal plane left and right, and the transverse plane. But you can see as I rotate here, everything is rotating. So our first protocol is to lock the hips in motion. That's the first thing. Then we're going to get more buy-in and more purchase from the spine. If we just keep the hips with lots of range, we don't affect what we're trying to affect. So we're trying to affect the spine. So how do we lock the hips in? We stand wide and wide. So wide laterally and wide forward, if you like, forward and lateral. So there's a good base of support here in the subject. The heels are on the floor on both the front and the back foot, and then we can drive range. What we're going to do is the sagittal first, so forward, so reaching as far forward as you can, forward, yeah, and come all the way up. And you can see the spine is going to go through this nice big range. As it's going through, it's going to go nice big range forward, and as it's coming up, a nice big flexion forward. That's the whole idea here, and we're locking down the contribution of the hips. They'll always contribute, but the less contribution, the better, and the more targeted of the spine. So going again, you've got to go 3 reps on this side. Again, a bit like the other squat, you can try and reach as far forward as you can, reach up as high as you can, and then swap legs. I want to do left and right on this one, so left now, foot forward, right foot forward and left foot back, reaching as far as you can, and then coming all the way back up again over your head. Perfect. Again, that foot position wide and wide. Another way to tweak the muscles or to tighten up everything is turn the toe slightly in on the front foot and the back foot. Again, so it's locking up, so that internal rotation will lock up the hip, and then you're going to get more spinal movement through the exercise. And then come up, and you'll feel the difference also. When you actually make those slight changes, you'll feel the difference in the movement. Do you feel the difference in the movement? That was a test, all right. So, okay, and the next one then, you do the same thing, the splits. So that was forward and back. Now we're going to go left, or rotational is the first one, so we'll rotate. So again, we're locking out our hands. We'll rotate as far to our left, to me. Do 3 repetitions all the way here, and then away from me. Again, the same position. Good. Now all we're doing is just rotating the spine. But again, locking these hips. So then the thoracic spine has to work a bit more. You're not going to get a lot of rotation in the lumbar spine just because of the facets, the way they're set up. You get a little bit of the cervical spine as well because the head's moving, but predominantly we're looking at the thoracic spine is what's moving here. Good. And then you swap feet as well. So 3 left, 3 right on opposite, swapping the feet. And again, I've emphasized enough here already, is the toe can come in a little bit to lock up the slack in the hip, if you like, to get all the tension up in the hip. And then the only thing that's going to generate this movement then is our spine. Okay, good. And we'll do the last one. Stay where you are. So this is good foot position. So hands over your head in the same locked up position. And you're just going to lean away from me. Good. And lean towards me. Again, all we're doing here now is locking up the hip, and we're leaning all the way to our left and all the way to our right. This is the stiffest skeleton I've ever seen. So all the way to our left and all the way to our right. Perfect. And locking up the hips. That's good. Good. So there we've affected the spine forward, back, left, right, lateral, left and right. So that's important. And the last thing is just a bit of complexity then, and this one will look funny almost on the surface, but it's important that I'll move this guy out of the way. So it's important that we get this right. So you're just trying to be as tall as you like on this movement. So be as tall as you like, and we're going to come up onto one leg, right? But the important point here is that you're trying to move yourself up as tall as you can and then around as far as you can. So the right leg is going to touch as far around on the left side, and she's also bringing her hands up as tall as she can and reaching around. Now the functionality here is that in the sport you're going to have to grab a ball, catch a ball as high as you possibly can. So you're going to need length in the spine, and you're also going to need internal and external rotation of the lower limbs. We're kind of challenging as this hip is going into internal rotation. Relatively speaking, the left one is going through external rotation because of the rotation of the pelvis, and then you're reaching up as high as you possibly can to extend the body over your head, and then reach around. Good. Again, pushing that. You can see the facial expression already, trying to push that range. Do 6 on your left and 6 on the right. Now the important point here is you keep sort of contact points to the wall, so the shoulder and somewhere in the hands, maybe the thumbs or the fingers remain in contact, but reaching up as high as you can. You're really trying to push up and rotate and get that rotation, and the bottom leg is actually into like a little bit of a calf raise also as well, to really stretch everything out and elongate as much as we possibly can, but also driving some movement. Good. You do 6 reps on your left, you do 6 reps on your right, and there are your 3 exercises, both stability and mobility. Again, self-select whatever one you feel appropriate for you. I guarantee some will be very good, some may not feel as beneficial to you, but this is where you self-select and start understanding where your body sits. I hope you enjoy it. There's 3 more exercises on each stability and mobility. I'll see you again very soon.